All right then. Now, presently, our Gleba operation is doing somewhat okay. We've got 3 farms set up, 2 Yamako and 1 jelly nut. We need to improve that. We also have the biofactory, and the biofactory is indeed online. Biofactory is producing all sorts of gubbins. Some of the modules have shut down simply because they don't need anything right now. Their output is overflowing. We've got carbon fiber. In fact, if we zoom out, we've got eggs, plastic, sulfur, rocket fuel, lubricant, carbon fiber, carbon, science, and bacteria. I'm sort of feeling that I would like to move all of this around, though. I feel that the big thing for us now is to, A, improve our energy production, and B, I would like to move the Biogenesis module down a little bit. I would like this part to happen after the Biogenesis module. This is the boot up system. If everything else in the factory is stalled, if everything else in the biofactory is completely ground to a halt, this can be kickstarted by adding just fruit. I also need to start up the production of eggs as well. Realistically, I want to get science on the go again. But there's no point just yet because we are not in a position to actually help out with that. We need to rebuild the original factory, the kind of the traditional factory. Sorry, I shouldn't say original. In order to produce the materials to make that work. But at this stage, I am happy with what we've got. We need more trains, though. And I'm thinking, let's review our to-do list. Add a 2nd or 3rd train to deliver fruit. I'm going to add something in underneath this. So add a new tag. My bad. Why was that going everywhere? Dedicated fruit trains. I think this might be worth it. I'll just pop that there. So I'm strongly considering making it so that instead of our kind of sushi train, we have a dedicated outpost supply train that brings along all of the various gubbins. But beyond that, we have a fruit train. So it would be able to bring 2 wagons worth of fruit back. And maybe expand that out even further. Do we want to set up a proper train yard over here is the question, though. Maybe I should add that in as well. What do you think, chat? Proper train yard, much like we've got on Nauvis with a dedicated depot, like a depot dispatcher refuel area. Hello, Solar Lancer. How you doing, mate? Silas says, traditional depot for the win. We can absolutely do it. Especially given that our trains operate on a more... They are significantly easier to manage due to the fact that they are double-headed. I don't think I'll need more than a single kind of personal locomotive and a single outpost supply train. But I might need several fruit trains. That part I'm unsure on. Okay, let's start off with throwing down some trains then. So Gleba, I'm gonna make a new book in here. We'll make this a Gleba train book. Why did I have this here? I don't need that book right now. All right, so I'm going to make a new book. This will be trains. I'll mark it. There we go. And I want that to be in my Gleba book. There we are. As I'm almost certainly going to have a very different train layout on Gleba than I have anywhere else. So firstly, we've currently got two sizes of trains. We've got a triple one, so that's two-headed 111 with a single cargo in between, in betwixt. We then also have the 121, which is what our current supply train is, our outpost supply train. Do we really need it to be? I kind of feel like the 121 is the safer option, because it is entirely possible for me to want more supplies than a single stack of anything. There's what? There's 40 separate items here. Well, that being said, I guess as long as I don't mind having only a single stack of anything, then I've actually got enough room to expand that out a little bit more if I really wanted to. Rate this game out of 10, please. Okay, well, just asking for an arbitrary rating is difficult, because what are we maximizing for? What's the metric that I'm using to measure it? A single rating is so subjective as to be absolutely useless. It's like saying, rate the sun out of 10. On what? How big it is? Because our sun's kind of tiny. It's kind of embarrassingly small compared to other suns. Or, you know, whether or not it's supporting life, it absolutely is. 11 out of 10 on that score. You know, it's like I need something a little bit more. If you're just asking, do I like the game? Yes. I've put hundreds, bordering on thousands of hours into this game. I wouldn't have done that if it weren't worth my time. It is definitely called Factorio for a reason. So like in terms of like my productivity and the rest of my life, probably negative numbers at that point. But as far as enjoyability, I enjoy it a lot, but I'm also quite aware that I enjoy it for reasons that some people don't. I like to get into the programming side of this game, which is definitely not a common, not the most common, commonly appreciated element of the game, I would say. So this is, again, it's hard to just lay down a 10. I would say it's a solid 8, I guess. But if I had a metric to balance against, I would probably be able to give you a much more accurate assessment. But if I'm trying to be, you know, less personally biased and try to think big picture style, I'd probably say it was an 8. I think it's safe to say it's an 8. Personally, for my personal enjoyment, it's higher. But if I'm trying to be a little bit more broad, right. Anyway, we need to decide on a factory size. Do I want a single carriage train setup, or would I like double carriages? Double carriages are going to require much more time to fill up from the fruit farms. I'm not even sure if a double carriage could fill up from the fruit farms. I think maybe only a single one would be better. But I'm happy to hear chat's input on this one. Very happy to hear, in fact. Single wagon on Gleba. Yeah. No, I'm making a specific... This is very specific to Gleba. So I am looking for suggestions that would only be Gleban... only for Gleba, specifically. So by all means. I want to try and balance this, just in case I should ever want to tile it. Well, there. I would sort of want this in such a way that it's always aligned to a single corner of this. So then I can move this down and bring this out. Because that'll be the input power signal. But if I should ever tile this, I would want it to tile such that this is kind of always aligned to the corners so that you can tile them a little bit more reasonably. Oops. I want to put that back. Yeah. Okay. I'm just shy of getting into settling onto new planets. Do I have to make the whole factory with production of all the things from scratch? You don't. No. You could, but you don't have to. I could import lots of things. In fact, in the beginning, I was importing metal from my spaceship, which was in orbit. I'm about to head to Gleba for the first time. Is there anything you recommend taking with me? No Hawk. Patience would be the first thing I would recommend. And that sounds silly, but I genuinely mean it. Gleba is a very different place. Like, you have to think about the factory in a different way. Infinite production is not the way you do things on Gleba, generally. So you're probably going to run into a couple of design paradigm shifts that you're going to have to kind of work your way through. But in terms of stuff that would be just straight up useful, not really, actually. I think Gleba kind of has a lot of everything. Maybe something that you can use as like electric smelters and stuff like that. But other than that, no, I think you should be okay. Do understand the power is going to be a little bit rough early on with solar, so maybe bring a lot of solar if that's going to be your primary source of power. But there are lots of other ways to run it. I'm not sure how to make sure trains always use all stops. I use priorities. Highest priority will get visited first. Right. So I want specifically to have... I don't have the materials on me. That's fine. We are gonna want a... I'm gonna say on Gleba we want one train. We want a... sorry, one wagon train. So let me go into this and change that. Settings. Interface. Train visualization length 3. Then we would want a stop about there. And everything beyond that stop doesn't need to be there. This will be my depot stop. It's going to be a fairly simple little stop here. So this is a 111 train. 111. 111! No. And because it's going to... I mean, I could set up liquids. Am I really going to be... I don't think I'm going to need a liquid train here. But eventually I might. Let's do that. Let's have a dedicated cargo and liquid depot. I think that should work. I could add in train stop since it is a train stop, but I think I'll just have depot. That should be fine. As for the color, doesn't really matter to me. Let's go and grab the gubbins from my PAX train. Also going to want to make a couple of these. There we go. Actually, how about we make the color pretty bland? Yeah, sure. We'll make the depot color like just a default color there. There will be no priority. Don't need it. Train limit. I'm gonna say that. Well, that will depend. That will depend. So what I could do is mark enable train limit as 1 for now. And that I can parameterize. Outside of that, I'm going to want loading of fuel to be a thing. We should have some bulk inserters. If I turn this on, I'm going to grab them all as well. Fine. Bring me the stuff. All the gubbins. Fill my inventory with gubbins. Go ahead. We deconstructed the previous main factory in order to make this. How is our power doing right now, actually? For the most part, it's okay. I'm not bringing in much from my my solar. Roboport's just spiked hard, but that's fine. Oh my good lord. So many gubbins. I'll wait for them to finish. That can go. Don't need that on me. I also feel like this much ammo is unnecessary. Oh, yeah. Oops. I can just turn that off, honestly, if I've got all of this. That'll do. I should set up better groups. It's just me being lazy, if I'm honest. Just me being lazy. Let's get rid of these out of my inventory. Don't need this many stacks of the same thing. Don't need to be carrying those at all. Other than that, that should be good. Right, so I'm going to want loading of fuel at discrete locations. Honestly, it could just be here and here. I'm going to want lights on either side. Having... I could just request the fuel, if I'm honest. But I'm going to say that instead of doing that, I will have the fuel be output onto a belt. Though that does make this a little bit more awkward, so I guess I'll use long-handed inserters here. That will do. It should be rocket fuel on Gleba, because that's easy for you to produce. Really doesn't matter, I guess, but let's actually request a decent amount. Let's say, yeah, well, may as well just go for the 2 stacks. That way I've always got some. What's happening? It is Gleba. Let's go and have a look. There we go. Mischief managed. It was a medium stomper. We're going to continue seeing those happening here and there. But it's not going to be the worst. We want belts. Just heading down here. This is purely a depot, so it doesn't need anything more than this. The only requirement would potentially be that I send signals to the trains through the depot to tell them when to leave. And if I want to make the depots effectively train agnostic, that is going to be a requirement. But at the same time, I don't need as complicated a system as I already have, especially for the farms, because the farms don't really produce stuff first. It's more, they will call a train, or rather a train will let the farm know, hey, I'm coming over to pick up some stuff, start producing it. That way it doesn't, it's as fresh as possible. So the train system here on Gleba doesn't need to be the same push-pull system that we employ on Nauvis. It's more or less purely a pull system. So no, I'm going to say we don't need any kind of signal being produced. Given that, I will just leave this to be within range eventually. And that is pretty much it. And I can have a second depot over there, and so on and so forth. Okay. Oh, let me... why is that there? Let's get rid of that. There we are. So my Gleba trains blueprint should be there. Just need to grab this. Purely a depot, doesn't do anything more than just accepts a train, and that train can just idle there. So it'd be a train stop. 111 cargo depot. Nice and simple. It can just rotate if needs be. It doesn't really matter if these things are on the same side. Though, I will say, there is something to be said about making a blueprint that only has the basics of the train in place. Like the station itself and the track, but doesn't have any of the loading stuff, so that becomes agnostic. And then you can just stamp those down as necessary, but because you can't flip this. So if I wanted to rotate it and have these be on the bottom, I would have to do something differently, but it should be fine. But this is cargo, so I do want to mark that. There we go. And I want to parameterize... Huh. I thought the train limit was parameterizable. Ah, I know what that's about. Discard changes. Hmm. I would have thought that would be available for me. Let's make that -1. Well, okay, 10. I'll make it 10 just now so I can easily see that. Enable train limit. It should be something that I can parameterize, though. Train stop names? Does that allow it? Apparently not. That's a shame. Okay, let's cancel this. There should be a way that I can do it, but I guess the way I'm going to have to employ this then is a little bit less ideal. But I can still make it work by doing this. And I put the train limit in here. Do I mark that by anything? Oh. Oh, well, that's fine. I'll just set L there. And I'll put L in here. With a limit of... Sure, I'll just leave it at 1. So, from now on, that will set the train limit. I won't send to train I don't need to. Everything else should be fine. It's equal priority to everything else. It shouldn't be an issue. There we go. Kind of surprised that I needed to go jump through those hoops to make that work, though. Well, there we are. Now that's all correctly set. I want my train, the kind of wagon that it's going to be using, train stop names, 111, cargo depot, and we should be good, I think. Yeah, okay. Create. Hi there, Glowrath. Have I visited Falcora or Volcanus? No, I came here directly because chatter trolls. We will then set this one up as a liquid train. I'm not sure I'm going to need it. Oops. But there is a possibility I might. So why not set that up now? Other things I could have done as well in here is I could have parameterized the fuel, but again, with Gleba specifically, there is no reason to use anything other than nuclear fuel. Rocket fuel. Because it's going to be available in such abundance. There we go. So, let's grab this, pop you in here, and we now have both of our depots. Maybe I could just change this, honestly, though. It's the train names that I specifically need. I don't need the... If all trains are going to be triple ones, then I may as well just stick... just remove it. It's superfluous information in the name. Just taking up room for no reason. There we go. Alright. Now then, let's get rid of all of that. I'm going to have to decide where I'm going to build this depot. Now, if I want any kind of stacker, it can't be built here. Well, actually, maybe it could, but I'd have to have the trains go down. That isn't the worst thing. Is there... Can I switch the book? Oh, no, never mind. So, if I wanted the train depot something like this, I could. I'd only want one of them, though. But I'd need a way to bring the trains in. I could easily enough have them branch up down here. But I'd need more of a proper curve there. That being said, a stacker for a two-headed one-wagon train is not difficult to make. The main thing would be to be able to get from this line up in here. So let's just have a look-see at what we can make happen there. That would work. That would work. So from here, I could have the stacker moving up. This should not be a problem for me. Not a safe junction at all, but it's good enough, I think, for now. We'll change it up a little bit later. Right, so from there, we swing straight up. This could be cargo. I'm going to need to know... if I were to place this down, I'd need it to be one more to the side. That could be liquids. And then the stacker goes on from there. It doesn't strictly need to be here. I can balance them out in other ways. I very much doubt I'm going to have very many liquid trains, if I'm honest. So I'm not too terribly fussed about that. Let's just move this to the side by one. One of this is going on. Oh, that's now this. We're fine. Baxi Pass. Gleba said, I found a bit longer presentation on Reddit that made me understand rail signals for the first time, and there is a very simple rule that makes it all manageable. I know I redeemed the Baxi Pass, but I won't be backseat more if you don't. I fully understand rail signals. I've made tutorials on rail signals, but the simplest rule I can make is entry to a junction, chain signal, exit from a junction, regular signal. But there's a million caveats to that and nuances and places where you might want double chain signals. In many cases, using one chain signal that goes into another chain signal is because you want to have a visual of how long the train is, but you still want to make that whole rail conceptually a single block. But yeah, no, there is I thank you for the thought though. But yeah, there's I've never struggled with rail signals at all. It's never been one of the things that's been difficult for me. And I'm going to do the weirdly nerdy thing of saying, oh, I learned this because of a game. It's 100% Open Transportation Tycoon. Or rather, Open Transportation Tycoon Deluxe that taught me about rail signals. And that does rail signals on many orders of magnitude more complex than this because there's many different types of signals. But yeah, no, there's no difficulty with that one. Macanzo, thank you so much for that incredibly generous tip. Infrequent viewer, been here, but been a fan since your first Avon Colony playthrough. Always glad to see you still creating content. Best wishes, Aavak. I hope I got the conversion rate right. What? I'm not sure what you were aiming for, but a penny is more than I expect. It's incredibly generous, and thank you very, very much. But just so you know, in case you were aiming for a specific number, it was $12.44. Reed Ghoul, thank you very much for the prime, mate. By following a simple equation, you can determine if Factorio is the game for you. Killed trees equals available time minus sleep plus playtime times T divided by enjoyment. Oh, my lord. Penny for your thoughts, indeed. You can have many thoughts with that many pennies. Many, many thoughts. Right, okay, so stack complete. And I can just add more to this as necessary. Oh, I love that. Right, so now trains. We would want this to be a bit further up, honestly. Awkwardness. Well, actually, if I could get it as far to the top as I can, this will give me the most likelihood of being able to set up a proper stacker. Make this one my liquids depot. Train limit of, I don't know yet, but I can change it. So that's the end point. Annoyingly, I have actually got those the wrong way around. Talking about I know about signals, but right, so I need to change that. And I'll need to do it for both of them. It doesn't show. Make sure parameter is set. Yeah, that's all cool. Right, done. Oh, now it's going to be vertical in my blueprint book. Blech. I guess it doesn't really matter ultimately, but let's go and pick up some more bits. Yep, there we are. Right, so I need now to know how many of these I can fit in. I could fit in a decent amount. So it's more how many I can branch to include. I need at least one space per. That's too close. But that would be fine. Now, how many can I fit the whole train into this little space? Is the only question. No, I absolutely can't. Bum. So I'd be able to expand this out to make the stacker, but unfortunately, even this tiny train, this still takes up a load of room. I guess I don't need a huge amount of trains being able to be stacked, though, realistically speaking. I would like it. I'd like to build for the future. That being said, I could take this further back. I could make the stacker branch further down. So, it's just going to be what we have to do. If I make it the right way, then I should be able to have a couple of these trains in this one spot. I love that emote there, Leafy Pew. Rail signals in Factorio are stupidly simple, though I see people struggle with getting the intuition for it. I think I broke all of the train behavior into just 4 to 5 rules, but there are still edge cases that aren't immediately obvious for those simple rules. Yeah, well, that's the thing, is I think that for the most part, everyone gets the train signals in Factorio. I struggle to imagine that they don't. The tricky part is the edge cases, and that's always going to be the way. Right, so I want the second train, and that will be this one. And that one can go. See, this is the problem, is I will stamp that down, but I'm going to want to change the orientation here. Actually, therein is the issue, because I can't afford to stamp it down because I need to take another blueprint of it. So let me just plop it down here. Oh. Go ahead. And then I want to change these around, then take the blueprint again. There we are. Then we'll be good. Just make sure the parameter's still set. It is. Okay, that's good. Oop. Now we get rid of this bit. In fact, we can get rid of this bit as well. Since we're so close, it can cross over. And I just want to copy this. So, switch orientation. There we go. Nice and simple. The other thing I can do is at this point, I can just have these connect up to each other. Get rid of that and just have a single one do everything I need for it. Oh yeah, that works. I don't need both of these, so I can just take that one out. And we want to bring this one down about... do I bring it out like that? Yes, I do. There we are. Now I want ways in there and there. Ugly. Has to be on somewhere where there's both sides. There we go. That works. And then this is purely an exit. No. This one. No. Oh, is it actually? Oh, no, it is using the right one. Never mind. There we go. Right, so let's just make sure that the blocks are correct. This is now one junction. These are each single areas. That is perfectly fine. Now I just need to basically measure it out enough that I've got one train's worth. It'll be so much easier if I do it on the other side though. And this is why I kind of like them to be symmetrical. Is so that I can measure stuff like this. Let's pop that. There are better ways to make sure that it's perfectly right, but... There we go. Since this is only one way. And this gives me my stacker capacity. So, effectively, I'm going to allow... it looks like a potential of 3 trains. 1 in the station, 2 in the stacker. More than enough for our needs. Way more than enough for our needs, if I'm honest. if I want to bring that across there. There are prettier ways that I could do this bit, but I'm not going to worry too much about that. And since I know that that can make it in, and go all the way down, I just line these exit points out so this becomes another junction. Actually, on this one in particular, it only needs to be an entry. So, there we go. And then that gives me my individual blocks. So now I can change this to be each of these stations can have 2 waiting, 1 in the station itself. So this goes to 3. Hi, Chrisbit. How you doing, mate? Okay, so with that in mind, I now need to adjust my rail to accommodate it, which is kind of sucky, but there we are. How one is going to adjust one's rail to accommodate this is anyone's guess, really. I guess that works. Nice. But I need this to be able to go in either direction. That does work. It's going to look all kinds of jank, but it is functional. And it doesn't need to be perfect. It just needs to work. I know. Makes your brain itch if I say such things, but doesn't mean they're not true. You just wish they weren't. I can understand that. But it doesn't change the fact that this is how it works. This is the exit point. Needs to be... I mean, realistically, up to now, it's only been a single train on this system. It's going into the junction. That's leaving it. It's going into the junction. But, see, I've made all of these with rails signals on them. And I probably should. I really shouldn't have, actually. This is a single train section. I'm going to go up and I'm going to remove these because I'm changing the size of the trains as well. So I'm going to just have to make some passovers for the trains as they come up here. But for right now, if there is a train anywhere up this section, it needs to have locked the whole thing down. Basically. Did you steal my signal? No, there we go. Sure, I'll just pop this there and there. It's a very messy way of doing it, but it achieves the desired effect ultimately. And for the time being, until I actually make this a proper system, I will put a chain signal down here as well. This just makes sure that there is no potential collision event happening over there. Likewise there. There we go. But down here, I'm happy for this to be an exit point proper one. We want an entry point. Now, this should only... Yeah, this will work for the train size that we're going for now. So let's pop that in there. This is locking down this entire chunk of this signal area, which is not really what we want. That's the entry point. Entry point. Realistically, this, for all intents and purposes, this is actually just one junction now. It's not ideal for it to be that way. You don't really want junctions just heading into other junctions, but that is effectively what we've got there, so can't complain about it too hard. There we are. Right. Likewise down there, I actually do need to make sure that for the time being, this is the problem, is I'm migrating the system across from what was really built for one train into something that's built for many. So I'm going to have to make amendments all over the place. But that does give me both a liquid depot and a cargo depot. I'm going to want you in there. I'm going to want... Let's go ahead and make this. I'm effectively going to want this to be a fruit collection train, I'm thinking. Interestingly, now that more and more of the system has slowed down because I'm not actually pulling things off the system, this is just completely backed up, and it'll be that way for about an hour. Until that fruit rots on the line, it will be fine. There we go. And there we are. Right. What groups have we got? New group. I'm going to mark this as a Gleba group. Gleba. And for the most part, we're going to end up with 3 groups, I think, in the end. Which does pose a problem in and of itself. See, ultimately, I should actually have 3 separate depots. One for each type of train I'll have. So if I've got a cargo agnostic solids train, a cargo agnostic liquids train, I only need 2 depots. But if I then want a separate one that has its own rules, that is the outpost supply train, I kind of need a depot for that train as well. But with that one, I could genuinely just have a small station off to the side to serve that purpose. I can actually just make these trains look this way. That should be fine. There we go. Either that or I just say cargo, liquids, or bullets, I guess. I want it to be recognizable what I'm doing with them. Signal's part of the fun though, but they could have added an option for equally spaced signals on sections, like in open transportation tech. Yeah, that would actually be amazing. Have I seen the upcoming no signal trains in Captain of Industry? Technically, it's just automatically splitting the rails into blocks as normal, so it might be possible to mod something similar into Factorio. I haven't actually looked into that in too much depth, I must confess. Yeah, that's good enough for that. If I want a separate depot for my outpost supply train, though, . All right, so here is the thing, chat. I can already think of a way that I could make a sushi train for supplying the depots work within this system, but it would require a little bit of extra effort. But effectively, I could have a train, like a single wagon train, that always makes sure that before it goes out to deliver items to any station, that it goes to the pickup location first, collects everything, and then after it has delivered to a station, because the reason why my output supply trains are sushi trains is because it's asymmetric consumption. I can't guarantee I'm going to drop everything off there. Instead, it goes, collects the full wagon's worth of supplies that it needs to in order to supply an outpost, goes and supplies it, then goes back to the pickup location and deposits everything that it didn't drop off, and then goes back to the stacker, so to the depot. So effectively, it would always be an empty cargo train at the depot. We can do that. We can. It's just going to require a little bit more effort. Hey, City Robo. What do you think? Should we do that? That would absolutely be something we could set up. The other option is much simpler, and that is to have a dedicated depot for the supply train, and it will, when the supply train returns to the depot, it just gets refilled with any missing items. So effectively, for the outpost supply train, there are only two types of stops: the outposts and the depot is just where it resupplies. Answer Black also mentioned that the circuit network is another good example of things being simple once you get into it. Though it has more complex emergent behavior, setups with 0 to 2 combinators should be obvious to anyone willing to try to understand them, but once you have looping signals, they get a lot more difficult to reason about. This gets worsened even more due to the 1 tick delay per operation. Yeah. What would cause me... Okay, so scalability, having everything use this system is more scalable. Definitely more scalable. Am I able to do any more research right now? I mean, I could research the atomic bomb. I'm not sure I should, though. I feel that there's perhaps a very good reason why I shouldn't be researching the atomic bomb, and that is exactly what... No. We'll research this. I guess I'll pick this one up just because I can. Electric weapon? I don't have any... Well, I guess I do have discharge weapons. I suppose that is true. Oh, that's already infinite tech. Let's not do infinite tech yet. Yeah, dedicated depot train is easier to set up, but a universal train treating every station the same is much, much more scalable. Yeah, absolutely. Okay. I think for the time being, we'll go with this idea. So this is going to be set up for... Well, now we are going to need a radar telling the train what job it needs to do. Easy enough to do. And if I have the radars use the green wire as their command wire, Also easy enough to do. There we go. So radar will send a signal, and if a train is available to take that job, it will do the thing. So, at this point, I can now set up the interrupts. The station that it should always go to should always be the depot. And at the depot, it should wait for full fuel. Oh. Full fuel. And a circuit condition. Oh, actually, no. Probably just time passed. I'll give it 5 seconds when it pulls into the station before it leaves. Like it's... Well, no, it would always need some fuel, so... if I want to get on it, I'm probably going to need more than 5 seconds. Let's have the trains always wait for 10 seconds at the station. Even if they only require 1 rocket fuel loaded into each locomotive, that's going to take no time at all, and then I can get in there. As for the interrupts, we are going to want cargo pickup pretty much. So if I use the cargo pickup interrupt, it has an empty cargo. The drop-off station is not full. The pickup station is not full. And when it goes to the pickup station, it'll say full cargo or 5 seconds of inactivity. And at the drop-off station, it has to have emptied its cargo before it can leave. Simple as that. I'm also going to change this one. Let's go with cargo pickup. There you go. Actually, let me put these the other way around so it's more in keeping. There we are. It receives the signal, and then cargo drop-off is the other one we will use. And this one is, if it has a cargo, and the drop-off station for that cargo is not full, and I'm not at that station, then go there and empty cargo. Now this one should normally complete everything it needs to do. This is more there as a precaution, like for some reason something got loaded onto a train, then it's not going to be able to do its normal jobs. And so it's going to constantly look for an opportunity to go and do its job. I'm going to add a final interrupt as well. Is there a question mark? There isn't a question. That's a shame. That would have been quite a cool one if I had a question mark icon. Let's go with this and then information. Well, actually, I'll have the deny signal. There we go. This one is going to allow interrupting other interrupts and will be destination full or no path. If it can't get somewhere, then I would say go to the depot. And then it should inherit these. Just so I've got a way of unclogging the train if there is an issue. That being said, do I need to really go to the depot? If I've got no yeah, I do. I actually do need to go to the depot. The depots are the only place I get orders to do other things. And not at specified station. If I'm not already there, then go there. That makes sense. So interrupt. There we go. I'm not really sure that there's too much use for this one, but I'll set it up like that for now anyway. Okay. So that's going to be our depot. Nice and easy. I think I'm going to get rid of the PAX train for now. It was fantastically useful for a time. And I will need it again. But right now I just want this space. Because as I said, I'd kind of like to pull the Biogenesis module down. Have this enter the system here, but the Biogenesis module should be at the very bottom. Like, I want this system to be able to re-input fruit back into the system at this point. And get a dedicated fruit stop elsewhere. Because I'm going to need two types of fruit stops now. One that is the drop-off location for jelly nuts, and one that is the drop-off location for the Yamako fruit. So to that end, I'm actually going to break this system here. Right, let's move the tank. Got a couple of things I need to do. Let's also move all of the stone. Was I really using it for anything over here? No, not really. I will, but not here. There we go. I got so much gubbins. My lord. Let's clear up a bit of room in my inventory. Right, Biogenesis module. Let's plonk you about here. Maybe even a bit lower down. Yeah, sure. Let's pop it there. And we are, at this point, going to want to strip out this one. Actually, probably shouldn't have stripped all of that out like that, but oh well. Oh my lord. I guess the thing I could do here is set this up as a requester chest for rot. That would definitely work. Let's make sure that I've got a... Why? Oh my lord, just outside the network. That is kind of vexing. Right, we'll pop that one there then. There we go. That should now start requesting all of the rot, so that should be on the way. Aavak, I'm a new player. How do I limit only 15 seeds in agriculture tower? My bot filling few towers only. Okay, so to limit the seeds going in, depending on the way you've got it set up, you would want to have a signal. So you've got your inserter taking them out of a chest. So you could just wire that up like so. Let this read contents. And then have this enable only if the seeds are less than 15. So this is disabled by control behavior because currently in the tower there's 30 seeds. But if I were to say, hey, bot, clear that out for me quickly. There we go. That loaded it up. Now, if you wanted to exactly only get 15, tell it to override the stack size so it'll only move one seed at a time. So I'll do that again. Yoink. There you go. And as soon as it gets to 15, it stops. That's the way you would do it. Swift Swirl, sentenced to no phone front desk duty today, so hitting the button and disappearing. Have a great rest of the stream. Oh, take care, Swift Squirrel. You have a good one. I finally got to Aquilo yesterday. It's so fun. Feels good, man. I'm glad to hear it, mate. Glad to hear it. Alright, so that's all set up now. Oh, I actually... Oh, no, that's also in there. Good, 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 good. Alright. So... realistically, this system should be getting rid of all of its rot. Why is it not? Excuse me? Oh, they're all trying to get rot, but they can't. Balls. Okay, so I kind of need an extra clause for seeds, apparently. Because these seeds have already been moved, but I'll quickly just empty this out myself, but I do need to create an extra arm that can handle all of that. How should I go about this one? I mean, realistically, this could just be this, but blacklisted. Just pull anything that isn't that off and just throw it in there. It's fine. That at least keeps the system moving. Right, so these now only introduce waste to the system. Introduce new items to the system. They don't completely break it. Let's get rid of you. Get rid of all of that. Thunk. I want that command signal to come down here. Like so. There we go. This system now introduces items as needed. Because this train is not going to be here anymore. Likewise with this, I want this to come all the way down. pretty much I want new inputs from this system to get priority. Yep. Likewise, this is going to be the bioflux and nutrient line. So kind of want that on this one too. How am I going to introduce all of this? What's the best way for me to do this? I'm thinking, first and foremost, I don't need to worry about this one. I just need them to merge onto this line. But I do want input from these lines to get priority. So obviously I'm going to use tunnels here. It's going to be malformed no matter what I do, so I'm just going to have to suck that one up. If I pop this here, I give this input on the left, output on... Well, it's going to have output on the left by virtue of what it is. Then this would come down here. I'm going to move this one up a little bit further, so it balances the lines at that point. Then I would want another connection about here. I guess I could bring it out around there in much the same way. Well, it's just kind of just a mess getting things to load in here. Because each one I want to bring in separately, just to make sure that everything lines up correctly. That reach is good. Go. I guess I just do exactly the same thing again. Oops. Ugly as sin, but it does do the job. Maybe I could achieve a similar thing over here. Actually, I could achieve a similar thing on this side. Let's try and keep it all uniform. Yeah, that works. And it looks a hell of a lot neater now, too. Perfect. And I can even bring it down by one. Oh, yeah. What are you doing? Okay, phew. You are going in the right place. Alright. Want to upgrade these all the way up. Honestly, I don't strictly need to upgrade that part. I want it to all be blue belt by the time it reaches this set. In fact, you know what? Let's just have everything be red belt down here until it enters the system, and that's when it switches to blue belt. Even more balanced. Beautiful. All right. All right. That's taken care of everything it needs. Now, I think it is time for me to just delete this train in its entirety. It's gonna suck. But... oh, maybe I should make the train stop first, actually. Where am I gonna load stuff in? I think it's fair to say that at this point, I might as well just bring the rail out in that direction. So how about I do a bit of terraforming? It's going to be a bit of a mess, but let's try and make it work. I'm not at all convinced that I have enough landfill to make this work. We'll see, though. Especially as we get down here. Going to have to make some... probably some sacrifices, but... in fact, how about I sacrifice everything on that side? There we go. Then we just fill in this bit. Because this gives me a route for the trains to pass up in this direction, which allows me to set up 2 loading, possibly 3 loading stations over here. But realistically, I'm only going to need the fruit loading here, because all of the stuff for the outpost supplies, they're going to be loaded elsewhere. I'm going to say. Including seeds. Seeds are going to have to be on the outpost supply train because the fruit train is going to want an empty inventory to collect the fruit. Where are my bots? Bots might be... oh, there we are. Okay. This will work. Time for some deletions. Also, I'm thinking you need to be on manual for now. There is no point in changing that. This whole area needs to be redesigned in a pretty big way. And it's going to be much easier if I don't have to worry that the train might run me over at any second. You know, though, I kind of want to have the, this going down the middle here. That is so much more aesthetically pleasing. Right. So our stack is over here. Our junction is over here. I can have the junctions be single track. That is not an issue. In fact, there's a lot of reasons to keep it like that, because it certainly cuts down on the amount of track used. And then it can transition to more tracks further apart. Having them at double track means that I can potentially have multiple trains using a junction simultaneously, but that is not, strictly speaking, the most important part here. There we go. Now, as for the delivery stations, gonna want two. One for picking up fruit, the jelly nuts. One for collecting the Yamako. I can use these as a template for it for now, since it's going to be the same shape. I could even have a single station do both, but it would mean that... I mean, I could actually. No, because it needs to know the type of fruit it's dropping off. So no, I need two types of stations. So let's just plonk you down. Let's plonk you down, and then I'll make a station template out of you. Good morning, Eskinber. How grows the factory? The factory is currently sleeping while I'm designing a much better rail system for Gleba. Hopefully. This is going to be a drop-off station. So this is going to want to be... let's go with... Well, to be honest, let's say this is jelly nut. But this will be request. There you go. I'm going to want to set the train limit. I'm going to want to read the train count. No, I won't need to read the train count for this one. Read the stop train, though. Read... No, that should actually be it. Just read the stop train. I'm not even sure if I'm going to need to do that, frankly. No, I probably am not going to. It's actually going to be a very simple one. Receiving a train is far easier than requesting a train. Yeah, the drop-off is far easier to manage than the pickup. Okay, so I don't need this thing to have stupid amounts of unload potential. But that being said, it's useful to have. And also, now that we've got iron, I don't have any elite iron chests right now, so I can't set up the premier chest. I know, I'm as sad as you. We're going to have to use filthy steel chests for now. I'm going to say, for ease of filling a line, we'll just use 8 chests. It doesn't need to be more than that. To be honest, we could just use 4 chests, if I'm perfectly honest. But, this is good enough. Then each line simply feeds into a mixed belt. That being said, I could easily have this using splitters to much the same effect, realistically. You know, let's keep this simple, shall we? I don't need to get all fancy. Into a splitter. Splitter should prevent output on one side. This one should prevent output in much the same way. So these will unload evenly. And then they go into another splitter. Exactly the same setup. So that only one side of it is being used. This won't unload the fruit, you know, in the fastest possible way. Actually, let's allow this to be a lane balancer as well. So there you go. That'll pretty much unload the fruit as you know, as quickly as it can, really. It's a nice simple little system. I could tighten it up its footprint a little bit, I guess, if I allowed these to be their maximum distance and then curved them back in on itself. Would I really want to do that, though? Is a good question. Probably not, if I'm honest. We could have this set up there. So this will give me one saturated belt of jelly nuts. What color did I make the jelly nut stops? 255, 85, 255. There we go. Nice and easy. And then I simply need to read the contents of the chests. Now, if I want this to be more programmable, then I can do that. Effectively, I would just need to first tell it how many chests are there, how many wagons, calculate all of that. But the alternative is I just fill in the numbers. Afternoon chat, another day stream by Aavak. We are truly spoiled. Hey, oh, I have me, Jay. Let's go up. Let's go ahead and make it programmatic. Actually, I'm going to grab this from Nauvis because I already have this set up down there. Yeah, let's just copy this. Yoink. And head back. This is the amount of storage in an iron chest. And that can change based on the type of chest you're using, by the way. This should be 4. This is the amount of cargo wagons. This is 1. That's how much room there is in a cargo wagon. This is the thing being stored. Let's grab jelly nuts. This calculates the stack size of it. This calculates how much total cargo there is, how much total storage there is from all of the chests. Then we don't need that. This works out how many jelly nuts based on their stack size will fit in that much contents. This works out how many jelly nuts based on their stack size will fit in a train. So far, getting all of that information. And then it's simply a case of, can I fit... I need to deduct the amount of jelly nuts currently in the chest. From this, from the storage number here. Let's hook this up to power so I can actually see this in action. It'll help me debug it a little bit more. You know what? Why am I using these when I could just go plonk one of these down and we're good. I really should actually embrace that in my blueprints a bit more. At this point, there's no real reason to be doing it this way, but oh well. I've started, so I'll finish.